traders, let's look at what's going on in the market today. So we're seeing an attempted recovery here from our drop the last couple days. We are possibly forming an up channel right through here. Kind of see there's 1, 2, 3 points. You could draw a line right through there, and then the 2 points up here are parallel to it. So that is telling me that we are definitely attempting a recovery from that drop that we've seen the last few weeks, since I think it was even since March. Yesterday we had a big jump upward and it dropped right back down to where it came from. So that tells me that there is a lot of excitement in the market, but a lot of uncertainty that just doesn't support that excitement as well. Still a lot of volatility, and you want to be really careful, obviously. Okay, so I drew in some price lines here. We can see that the orange price line here is like in between on this chart, in between the gold and the orange SMAs here. So that's like right in between there. I would say that is a pretty good point of resistance that we'll probably meet. And then I also drew in on the 30-minute chart here, I drew in a blue line that matches with the blue SMA there. And remember, the blues are always the 180-day, the golds are the 50, and the oranges are the 20. And that's just how I set it up, because that's easy for me to remember. So we're looking at this area right up in here as being a pretty good resistance point. I don't think it'll probably get above that point, but we shall see. Okay, we can see that the zigzaggy pattern right through here, using the gold SMA as a support, we are near the top and showing signs of it dropping. So I decided this is a good opportunity to get into a short. Also, MACD bears that out as well. We're looking like we're losing momentum there as well and ready to drop. And we can see that as well on the 5-minute chart over here. And it's kind of hard to see on the 15-minute chart, but at any rate, I went ahead and put in an exit order right at that gold SMA because I figured that was a good enough trade for me, and I'm pretty certain that it's at least going to get down to that point. Could drop below that. We shall see. Okay, I drew in one more price line based on the 15-minute chart right through here. We can see the two SMA lines are just about to connect, and it's going to be right at that point right there. So that might act as a support. I'm not sure at this point. It might just give it a little bit of resistance and it'll blow through it. I'm not sure. But at any rate, and it's also interesting to me that that gold line that I just drew also is like right in between the SMAs on the 5-minute chart as well as the main chart here of 1,000 ticks. So it's very interesting that that is like the midpoint. That's a pretty strong support level right there, and you can see that's right where those candles wicks went down to. I mean, they dropped a little bit below it, but again, very briefly. It can't sustain that. So looks like a nice drop coming here. It started to hesitate right at that point. It just didn't want to drop very well, and so I decided that was a big enough trade for me. I went ahead and upped my order just a little bit so I could get out. And the first trade I did was positive, 21.25 minus my commissions of like, what was it, 450, I think I decided. So that was a good trade. Now I'm just kind of waiting to see what's going to happen next. How is it going to interact with this line right here? Okay, so it dropped below it a little bit and then immediately formed a green candle, and we're not quite seeing an upward movement on the MACD yet, so we still want to wait. All right, and this is 9 o'clock right now, so we're still about half an hour away from the opening bell, and we're seeing on these charts here, both of them, a little bit of a green candle forming. And so I went ahead and got in at this point. I think it might have been a little bit premature, but there's a lot of information on the screen right here that tells me it was a good point to get in. but you know, this may have given me caution. I just was worried that I would miss out, that it would bounce up and I would miss out, because it seemed to be kind of uptrending right through here. But like we've always pointed out in the past, the other thing to kind of balance that excitement of it going up should have been that the blue SMA, the trend line here, is still downtrending. Even though it may be bottoming out, it is still downtrending. So anyway, kind of came to that conclusion a little bit later, but still wasn't real sure. It wasn't like dropping vastly, so it was still kind of maintaining its price right there. And at this point, when we formed the second red candle after a great big red candle there, I was like, yeah, I got in too soon. Not too worried at this point still. I feel like that gold line is still really good support. So I can stomach that. I can wait till it gets down to that point and then bounce up. That's fine. Pretty sure it's going to come up eventually. So kind of looking ahead, this is now looking really good. This would be the time to get in. But I'm seeing on the 30-minute charts and the 15-minute charts, the MACD is really high and looks like it's crossed on both of these charts and looks like it could be dropping. So I'm a little bit worried about being in long, to be right honest about it. I don't know that it's going to get much up above that at this point. Okay, now we're starting to gain a little bit of upward momentum here, so that's encouraging. MACD is really looking good. Getting ready to make a big move, I think. Okay, now it's gotten back up to where I got in and haven't moved my order. Okay, less than 5 minutes to the opening bell, and it is right at that resistance possible support line. And this is just now crossing. These are doing okay, but they're still kind of downtrending. Okay, now I'm a little more certain it's gone up, and we have like 40 seconds left to the opening bell. I'm really getting nervous at this point. The MACD is just crossed, and oftentimes when that happens, we have a little bit of a downtick. So I went in and just got out. I felt like that was a pretty good place to get out. I had met my goal at this point. Let's see, or very close to it at any rate. But yeah, I just felt like I didn't want that much risk on the table, and I was really nervous about being in a long, especially after the opening bell because it moves so quickly. Okay, so at this point, the opening bell came and it shot up there and immediately dropped back down, which is not a surprise to me. I kind of felt like this was a pretty good ceiling point, and it would take a lot of bullish sentiment to get it above that. And so now I think this is a good place to get into a short. So I went ahead and placed an order and got in. And it did drop down quite a bit there, dropped below that gold SMA. This is a good order, and I've now, okay, this is where I've met my goal. Finally met my goal, and I went in and got out at this point, and there we go. So I made 3 trades. They were all positive and all conservative, good trades. And so, yeah, so that's my day. Okay, so I'm just sitting here, one last little thing, because I am so certain that it's going to drop down to this point. I just couldn't help but make one more trade. So I got into a short right here, and let's just kind of watch it live here for a few minutes. Okay, the MACD is concerning a little bit here. It's starting to lose its downward momentum, and the RSI is super duper low. So it may have a jog upwards for a little while, and I'm trying to decide if I want to wait that out or just go ahead and get out, because it's basically I'm making about $5 so far if I get out right here. So that's not much of a trade. the shorter term charts here. Yeah, I would say on the 15-minute chart here, that looks pretty good for some more dropping. Okay, yeah, there's not a dark red candle forming quite yet on the 5-minute chart. So that's good. However, the RSI is starting to tip up a little. Okay, that's good. We've already kind of used up our upward movement here and already forming some more red candles. So that's good. See how much downward momentum we can gain here. The MACD is really, really low. However, it's more important that it's just losing momentum and turning over, even though it's below the average line at this point. So right here is the bottom of those candles wicks that we formed before. So it's going to at least get down to this point, and if it gets below it, that will tell the tail. Okay, I'm a little bit nervous. What's happening here is actually a good thing. We are going up enough to bring that MACD closer to the average line, which will, I believe, give us the momentum to drop as far as I think it'll go. But the price action is really not going anywhere. It's like fluctuating between these 2 points. So that's actually a really good thing. And it's also, in doing that, it's also bringing down the gold SMA closer to it without actually going up too far. So I'm not too worried at the moment about it. I mean, even if it goes up to this point right here, which is, that's a long ways up there, I'm not too worried that it's not going to drop. So it, as you know, it drops in legs. It'll drop and then it'll go flat for a while, and then it'll drop and then it'll go flat for a while. And how it interacts with the prices at that flat part kind of tells you what the next leg is going to be. And at the moment, I would say it's likely that it's probably going to drop some more. If it gets above this point, then I would be really worried. Too far, I should say. It might even get up to this point. Definitely, if it gets above that point, I would say I want to be out. But it, obviously at that point, I've lost all my profits. So, it's just I put a lot of risk on the table. Maybe should have, but I do think in the end it'll be okay. I haven't really seen information here to tell me otherwise. Let me put it that way. All right, look at that MACD. MACD has gone up and now has the appearance of it tipping over. Got the dark green candles, so we're losing momentum. That's very good. There is a small divergence on the RSI where the price action went down, but the RSI went up. Being on the extremely short-term chart, I'm not too worried about that. What we want to keep our eye on is when we start seeing this kind of level out more, that will be a little worrisome. Okay, this point right here is where the lowest, okay, there we go. The drop below that point now, that's good. And the MACD is just crossed there, so that's good. It's going to have some resistance probably right through here because that's the lowest it has been today. And you can tell because, you know, these are brighter colors. These are in the gray tones down here. All right, we just hit a new low. Cool. All righty, there we go. Down, down, down. All right, I'm going to go ahead and put in a stop order here because that is an incredibly large amount of profit for one trade. And I got stopped out. So, wow, what an awesome last trade. Cool. All right.